What's your best but wait, it gets worse story? An acquaintance got married in an extravagant $80,000 ceremony, that's $57,000 in freedom dollars, and broke up on their honeymoon. But wait, it gets worse. They split because the groom was cheating on the bride with a string of one-night stands. Meanwhile the bride was having an ongoing affair with the best man. But wait, it gets worse. They pretended to stay married for 6 months, after out of shame, but it all came tumbling down, when he made a huge Facebook rant calling her a whore and tagging all their friends and family in it, with the most dramatic shitstorm of a comments section known to humanity. But wait, it gets worse. The bride and the best man decided they wanted to have a baby and she immediately ran off with him and got knocked up. I currently live in a 3-bed 1-bath house. My roommates were getting married and had a bunch of bridesmaids over at the time. A couple of them stayed the night after drinking. I wake up the next morning with a massive shit festering in my stomach. Every move I make I feel it's just gonna squeeze out. I heard both girls in the bathroom giggling and getting ready. So I panic. Grab a roll of toilet paper and head to a remote part of the backyard. When I went out back, I left the door cracked enough for our Shih Tzu to sneak out. I didn't see him while I was shitting and ran back inside to grab a plastic bag. The girls had just walked into the living room. I chatted them up, avoiding the fact that I just shit in the backyard. Finally they left and I returned to my shithole. It was half-eaten and my little old dog was face down it, slurping it up. Disgusting, right? I had to clean his face off with rags and water and soap. Before I could muster all of the items up, he jumped on the back patio furniture and ran his shitty little face through everything. Then he shook, as I walked up to him, flinging my own feces every which way. I finally cleaned him and put him inside. I cleaned up the couch pretty quickly and it being outside furniture, I was able to blast it down with a power hose. Not bad, right? Quick and easy? Nope. I walked back into a monstrosity. Poor guy ate the shit so fast, and it being shit, it didn't settle well. This isn't an exaggeration when I say that I counted 16 different piles of dog vomit feces throughout the house. Most of it on the couches. I, for the next 12 hours, cleaned up my own shit-turned-dog vomit, basking in the smell of horrors for what felt like forever. Had a tooth extracted, but the dentist didn't take the abscess underneath it out. Sealed me back up and sent me home, where my face swelled like a balloon. 24 hours later I'm rushed to the ER shaking and vomiting with an infection rapidly spreading through my jaw. Emergency surgery where everyone including the surgeon was panicking. Finally got home, with a drain installed in my jawline, a steroid shot and antibiotics. But suddenly developed thrush in my mouth and on my face. Back to the DRs, and after a few well this is odd moments, and a slew of tests, we find out my blood sugar is over 300. I'm now diabetic. A week later COVID hit, and I've lost my job. Down to our last few hundred desperately awaiting news of a second stimulus. I have my diabetes medication, but can't get the test strips because they are so overpriced and have to prioritize bills and food. I have 2 kids under 10. Getting ready to start homeschooling with 2 kids. Pretty tough year so far, looking forward to catching a break. Dear God, I need one. Edit, thank you very much for the kind responses and offers for test strips. They don't happen to sell the brand for the test meter they gave me, Contour Next One, on Amazon, but I do appreciate the offers. I will work through things, and things will be okay. P.S. I do plan on following things up with the dentist. The oral surgeon the ER called in to work on me, said the original dentist almost killed me, and wanted his name and address. He also was kind enough to work out a payment plan for me, since it was way over what I could afford, even when employed, but it was an emergency. I know I'm not the only one struggling right now, I just wanted to be a baby for a minute on Reddit, and I very do much appreciate the sympathy and kind ears. Got rear-ended by a truck. Pulled over to check my trunk on a hilly street. A car parked behind me rolled downhill and crushed me between it and my newly messed up trunk. Suffered some cracked ribs. I work in the care of the disabled. One fine morning, I go up the stairs to wake a resident. I see a nice little turd on the ground. I sweat a bit at myself, but I'm thinking at least the person who did this didn't step into it and smear it everywhere, it's just a nice little dollop. I run downstairs to get gloves, bucket etc., and I'm gone for literally 2 minutes. I get back upstairs and the nice little dollop is now a flat pancake. And there are footprints. I follow the footprints, they lead into a bedroom. I knock on the door and open it. Inside, one of my residents is furiously washing his slippers with his bare hands, cleaning off the shit he stepped in. When he spots me he start yelling at me about that little fat bitch who's always shitting and pissing on the floor. I just lost it at that point. The image of him washing up his slipper, mumbling to himself and getting into a rage still makes me laugh. Cleanup was a bit more than I'd wanted but not the worst I have ever seen. Better to laugh about these things than to get angry. I work at an office. The building is owned by my boss who is too cheap to shell out for actual maintenance service and has employees do handiwork around the clock. One day, it started to snow. The snow was sticking to the sidewalk and showed no signs of letting up, so of course me and my coworkers had to go out and clean it. So while my boss sat in his nice, cushy office, we start shoveling. One of my coworkers, let's call him X, is relatively new and having grown up in an apartment complex, has never shoveled before. Well, maybe that contributed to what happened next. He starts pushing the shovel in front of him at a crotch level. And eventually, the shovel head gets stuck on a raised brick and it pushes the handle end of the shovel into X's crotch. There was no shovel handle because he had been given a broken shovel with a rusted end. Castration being imminent, X proceeds to tuck and roll, off the sidewalk and into oncoming traffic. Fortunately for X, somebody grabbed him and pulled him back to safety. Boss drove him to the emergency room and paid for the resulting tetanus shot and 14 stitches on the inner thigh. Needless to say, he was not allowed to shovel again. Edit. A word. I was in a trade school about 2 years ago and I was in CDL training at this time. One Friday, I lost my wallet. I didn't find it for the whole weekend and I concluded that it had been stolen. Because I now didn't have a wallet, I didn't have my driver's license, my CDL permit, or my medical card. All of which were required to operate an 18-wheeler owned by the school. The following Monday, my driving teacher told me to go to the DMV to get a new copy of my license and permit. Unfortunately, the only DMV open was in downtown Pittsburgh. I got down to the DMV and I waited in line for a solid 2 hours. Once I was called up, the guy told me that they only accept money orders or debit cards, and all I had was some cash. I then had to get another number and walk 3 blocks away to the local Rite Aid to get money orders. Another 2 hours later, I'm next in line to be called, and everyone sorta stopped working. All of the counters were open for about 45 minutes, and no explanation was given. I admit I may have lost my cool on the security lady working there, when she told me that the computer system crashed, and that I need to leave. I left the DMV as pissed off as I've ever been, and walked back to my car to find I got a $50 parking ticket. The next day, I went to my local DMV and got my new license and permit and was able to start driving again. But later that night I found my wallet under my bed. My mom books me a haircut for my birthday. I have long hair and wanted a balayage, so it's a big deal. I ask for her to change it, but you'll feel nice with a fresh haircut on your birthday. Fine, whatever. I'll go. I go to the appointment and they start my balayage, lightening the ends of the hair in a gradient. The lady is doing it very different to the last time I had it done and is putting the bleach very high up my hair. They have me in the chair with the sink for ages to wash it out and it hurts my neck. I get back in the chair and my hair is very light, more than the pictures I'd shown the hairdresser at the beginning of the appointment. It looks more like streaky highlights than a nice smooth ombre. I start to freak out. It's not what I wanted at all and I'd been there for almost 4 hours. It's the afternoon and I haven't had lunch yet, so I'm starving. I put on a brave face when I get home, but I know that my face is swollen and red from crying. My family wants me to open my birthday presents, in front of everyone, of course. I can't look at myself in the mirror or else I'll burst into tears. I'm barely holding it together, and then a knock at the door. My boyfriend has invited some of my friends over to surprise me and I still look visibly upset. My day seems to get better from there, and we decide to go to laser tag. My boyfriend didn't bring decent shoes, so he needs to borrow some. Not to worry, my sister has big feet so her shoes should fit. I look for shoes in my sister's room and find her giant pink dildo instead. I was in a car accident because of a spider. No other car was involved. The driver stopped the car at the top of a hill and opened her door so the passenger could crawl over her and get out, but the driver was accidentally pushed out of the car and ran over her own leg, and then the car quickly gained speed down the steep hill with no one at the wheel, and we eventually crashed into some trees. Afterwards I got out to check on my friend who ran herself over and then went back to the car to check on my other friend, and when I had my head in the car window, I didn't realize the spider got onto my head and it crawled onto my face and bit me. This happened about 10 years ago. My boyfriend called me in the morning and dumped me over the phone. I was really upset and forgot to finish the laundry I'd started, so I had to go into work out of dress code. Of course, That would be the day our district manager was visiting and I got written up on the spot even though it was the first time I'd ever been out of dress code. Spent my break crying because the universe was just taking a dump on me. But wait, it gets worse. When I got home that evening I had a notice of eviction taped to my door because we had apparently been illegally sublet the apartment and had no clue. Didn't even cry because at that point it was just yup. That seems about right for today. Woke up to pee in the middle of the night. Didn't turn on the lights so no one would wake up. Slipped and fell in dog piss. Landed on my knees so hard I passed out from the sudden onset pain. The thud of my fall woke up my husband. He found me passed out laying halfway in the toilet bowl. Thanks for watching. Subscribe and click the bell icon to be the first to watch our videos when we upload. Like, comment and share.